Okay, hello. Welcome to day 3 of TechCon. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. We are excited about Track S, so infrastructure, automation, and security. We have lots of great topics today, and with the kickoff of March Madness this week, in keeping with that theme, we do have some last-minute changes for this track today. Just note on S34, there'll be an AI ops and security topic presented by Warren Zhao. So just make sure you note that on your agenda. But right now, we're going to get started with our first topic for today. And we have Corey Williams, who is our Chief Architect around Identity Governance Administration, and Dinesh Jain is our Product Manager for IBM Verify. And they're going to dive into some of the identity governance and administration news, what's happening now. So we welcome them all the way from India, and make sure you keep the conversation going. So we want to hear from you. Put your questions in the chat. We'll make sure that we get them answered. And so without further delay, I'm going to hand it off to Dinesh to get started. Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy. Welcome everyone for this exciting session today. Myself, Dinesh Jain, and my partner, Corey Williams. Today, we are going to cover the next generation of identity governance and administration. As part of the agenda, we would like to take you through, first of all, understand the basics of what is an identity governance and administration all about. We also look at some of the customer pain points with identity governance and administration, and why does IGA solution needs to evolve. As part of the IGA solution evolution, we look at it as a next generation IGA, and we look at the key use cases to consider as part of the next gen IGA. We also look at some of the methodology, how you can address and be ready with the next generation of the IGA technology. Followed by that, we also look at some of the exciting things that IBM Verify portfolio has to offer with the IGA capabilities. We'll also do a bit of a demonstration of those capabilities today. And further, we can follow the path of leading towards the next generation IGA solution. With this agenda, let me start with, first of all, what is identity governance and administration is all about. In a simple words, if you really look at organizations needs to effectively manage identities and accesses of their employees, contractors, vendors, and needs to ensure all these people are the right people and have the right accesses at the right time. This provides a number of business values when organizations look at adopting an IGA solution in terms of automating the governance of identity lifecycle management. That starts with joiner, leaver, mover use cases till the time of users getting the right accesses at the right time and so forth. It also improves and streamlines the overall users and their access related processes. It also facilitates compliance and reduces the identity related risks by adopting an IGA solution. Now, when we look at an IGA solution that caters across different types of users, and it also caters across different types of applications as well, be it be on-premise or cloud apps, be it be directories, applications that delivers or manages structured data, unstructured data. In essence, a user or an identity that has access to any of such applications is what identity governance and administration solution considers it to ensure right people have right accesses at the right time. Now, in reality, if you really look at every organization today is going through the digital transformation, and it also resulting into a growing number of identities. And this is actually creating a perfect storm, forcing customers to rethink about their identity governance and administration solution. And here are some of the statistics we see from different types of analyst reports as well as the market insights perspective. approximately half of the IGA deployments today are in distress. We also look at the facts that 54% increase is in the number of identity related incidents that has happened in last year. There is a tremendous growth of machine identities. If you really compare one human identity and 45 machine identities, that's the ratio 1:45 from human to machine identities is growing. And if you're really concerned about the malicious insider attacks, it's $4.99 million is the average cost of a malicious insider attack, as some of the reports outlines these numbers. So it is really a big concern when you really look at an identity governance solution, how it is important, but at the same time, what are the customer pain points we see with these and how an IGA solution needs to be evolved. I would like to let Corey help us to understand about why does IGA solution need to evolve?
Thanks, Dinesh. So I want to start with some justification as to why we even need a next gen, why we need a paradigm shift in what we've been doing for decades now in this space. What we have been finding is that there is a growing number of cases that are centered around identity. To give an example of this, where we've been traditionally in the space of security responses that we've been working traditionally in, when there's a exposure or a breach, it's generally the security office that is looking at the information and trying to understand where the breach came from, plugging the holes in the compliance are in the security vulnerability, and that's where most of the extent has been. What we have found now is that more and more of the C-suite are interested in the information that we're providing, and it's all centered around identity. So an example is if there is a breach today, it's not just the security office that's wanting to know about it. It's the compliance office, and what they're asking is a different question than how do I plug the hole in our security vulnerabilities. What they're asking about is what compliance exposures do I have? If the data is related to privacy in GDPR, they need to understand that there's some sort of compliance exposure that they have to deal with. If we're talking about financial assets or negotiable assets, the financial officer is going to want to know about it. And all of that information is centered around knowing what was the root of the exposure, which is still almost always some sort of stolen identity. And that's why it's becoming more and more important across the business, identity. So we are seeing an increase in the use cases, but we're also seeing an increase in, and Dinesh just mentioned this, increasing identity diversity, looking at non-human identifiers are adding scales that before, when we were just talking about employees and workforce type scenarios, that didn't exist. Now, what we're expecting is that the business can do more for themselves in these environments, but IAM has traditionally required a lot of specialized skills in order to do this. So all of those things together, which is saying that companies are wanting more of a return on their investment in identity, as well as the increasing scope is increasing cost of deployments. Beyond that, we're also seeing an increase in the complexity of the overall ecosystems. Certainly cloud adoption has been a driver for this. but more and more, we're reaching more and more endpoints. So the ecosystem is expanding. We're going into server farms, not just employee directories. We're going into devices. We're going into all sorts of areas. So the things that we're touching is growing. But at the same time, we also have to integrate with the legacy IGA systems. And we're also seeing a lot of point components being developed around things such as security posture management, identity threat detection. We're also seeing a greater urgency in response times. In the past, we have seen that you would have reviews on periodic scheduled basis, where now companies are expecting, and many standards are expecting, that you're doing continuous governance, and I'll talk about some of these patterns in a bit. Simply because if you're not responding in time, potential exposures are waiting extended periods of time for review, that's no longer acceptable. You're also not getting an up-to-date view of your security posture. So those top three are showing that there's actually an increase in complexity, and that in itself is indicating that there needs to be some sort of paradigm shift to address all this. Companies, specifically decision makers, are being overwhelmed by the amount of information that they have to process and decide on. And that's where, with new advances in AI, particularly around generative AI, but also other machine learning and analytics capabilities, that is where there's a potential for providing some relief to these decision makers, in the sense of being able to automate policies, both the generation, and have policies that use machines to make informed or intelligent decisions, providing decision support for the human decision makers by prioritizing the decisions that they have to make, giving them context and recommendations and that sort of thing. And also on the operations side, helping having AI to not only generate policies, but also simplify integrations, and also to just look at and understand the state and take corrective actions in your environment. All of this is leading to our vision of next gen, which is that you have to be able to govern all human and non-human identities. That's expected. You have to do this within what we call a unified identity fabric that brings together all the legacy components, cloud, all of the point solutions through standards-based integrations, and using AI capabilities to provide you complete visibility into your entitlements and to help reduce, prioritize, and empower the human decision making. With that, Dinesh, would you move on to the next slide? So I'll start by just going through some of the patterns, that we've been seeing, and follow this up with a call to an overall methodology, and then Dinesh can show you where we've been heading with this. But I'm going to start with this notion again of the urgency of things. Is we can't wait any longer, and in a similar vein to what is called continuous control monitoring in other disciplines, here we have what is being called continuous compliance monitoring. The idea is that, as opposed to having periodic reviews, you would continuously ensure that your compliance controls and standards are met. Some examples of how this continuous nature works is There's some standards-based stuff around coordinating and sharing risks and continually evaluating access across the entire ecosystem. There are standards being developed by the OpenID folks called the Shared Signals Framework that focus on those notions of continuously sharing access and risk incident information across your ecosystem. There have been for a while things that help you to monitor user behavior and feed that into your governance and access decisions. There are capabilities for monitoring your edge security devices to find shadow accounts. That is what we used to call orphan accounts, accounts that you don't have any visibility into, that you have some sort of gap in your knowledge about. Local accounts, this is to say that accounts that are bypassing your normal multi-factor controls and using native authentication mechanisms in your applications. So we are detecting these things in new ways. We are also doing more automated compliance checks. One example with Verify is that from a privacy standpoint, we provide a service that captures consent for data usage, where now these kind of checks can be made as a service call, so that before you provide access to information that is personally identifying, that you can go and verify a compliance check before you do that work. Then, as part of this continuous compliance monitoring pattern, is the notion that you have a continuous real-time visibility into your overall identity posture. So many things that we've been tracking in traditional IGA have been all over the place, and points and point solutions are now being brought together into a single unified view of these things that we're talking about, orphan or shadow accounts, local accounts, vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, and then having this continuous information about your posture is then also leading to the ability to have more proactive decision making, as opposed to periodic reviews. You can be responding immediately to things that, for instance, emergency accesses, that are granted at the endpoints themselves, can now be reviewed on an immediate basis from your IGA systems. You can make immediate decisions where you find that there are control failures. Well, maybe that indicates that you need to be making access policy changes. If it's just a matter of somebody got access, they just needed to have that reviewed, those things can be done in a more proactive way. Dinesh. Another thing that we are definitely seeing is the use of machine learning, analytics, and in an increasing way, generative AI capabilities to, as I say, empower decision making. So we have, seen plenty of examples, and I've heard plenty of people complaining about attestation overload, certification fatigue, approval fatigue. Just as an example here, there is one example of an organization with 300,000 users and involving 1,000 managers, and what they were seeing was something like 60 million decisions a year, where almost all of them were in the affirmative. In other words, it was always just yes, which has obviously led to tons of hours being spent on this, millions of dollars in estimated cost for doing this, and lots of rubber stamping just because of the overload that decision makers are having to do. So what we're seeing is, again, machine learning and analytics helping these decision makers through historical decisions and peer group analysis, being able to say, okay, those are similar to decisions you've made in the past. It's similar to decisions that people in the same peer group have. The things that is being asked for here is not an outlier of those peer groups. So providing recommendations based upon that, but also going a step further and actually in some contextual basis being able to actually take those decisions automatically, but at the same time giving decision makers the ability to override those so that they maintain accountability and measurements, ways of measuring controls other than actually just asking a human being for a yes, no. Dinesh? Another pattern we're seeing is that customers are saying that they want to see a more risk-based approach to identity management. And what this involves is, first of all, assessing and measuring risk. And there are various kinds of risk that we're talking about here. As I mentioned earlier, compliance teams, legal teams, even CEO's office are asking more and more. It's not just security risks anymore. There's also financial risks, sensitive information from a privacy perspective, sensitive accesses from a financial perspective. Assessing these risks and measuring them is a first part of this risk-based governance. And then again, enhancing the decision making by first of all, making that a bit information real time, so that people get a immediate view of their security posture, prioritizing that, and even going so far as to, in multiple ways, reducing the number of decisions by auto-generating new policies, so that maybe where there was 50 decisions, now that gets wrapped into a single policy decision. And of the remaining decisions, prioritizing and again, giving decision support to help that. On the enforcement end of that, we're also seeing that more of these decisions are being put into the runtime controls, and machines are starting to do things like making adaptive access decisions, so that in particular, denying access if it's detecting unusual behavior or something else that might be just indicating that maybe you just need to step up your authentication and then letting the access through. And this all, of course, is utilizing, again, real-time threat and context information. As I said before, one of the most important parts of this paradigm shift is the use of AI and machine learning to help administrators and business users having the context, getting the support they need through chatbots, and being able to automatically generate policies that are automated in the sense of, like I described in the last slide, making decisions based upon real-time context, adaptive controls, reducing the overall number of decisions, and that ultimately helps these decision makers stay focused on what the important decisions are. So I haven't talked about this too much, but a key aspect of having an important security posture view is making sure that you know all of the inventory of your identities. And that means not just human identifiers, but also machine identifiers. So from just a starting position, having a clear inventory of that and knowing based upon the different types and classifications of machines and our overall identifiers that you have, knowing roles and permissions associated with those different classes of identifiers helps you to have a good view of your security posture, and then establishing governance for those in the same way that you would have for human identifiers, having ways to monitor the compliance of those machines and making sure that they have least privilege and that they aren't sharing and all of the other kinds of things that need to be done. For human identifiers also apply to machine identifiers. A step beyond that, though, is that there are specific lifecycle needs for machine identifiers. When applications are onboarded and services are installed, they need to have IDs set up for those things. There needs to be automation of credentials rotations and key rotations. So there are some additional aspects to managing the life cycle of non-human identifiers that need to be addressed. And then just like, again, human identifiers, applying actionable intelligence from machine learning is critical. So all of this leads to, and maybe it's a bit verbose, but 7 categories of methodology here. And starting with unifying and consolidating across this, I said, identity framework and bringing in your entire inventory of identity. So that this allows you, and like I said, the first step in any view of security posture is having a comprehensive look at all of your identities, whether they be machine or human, using standards-based integration points like shared signals, being able to address mismatches in protocols across legacy components and newer technologies, being able to broker those protocol mismatches. That's a key part of the next gen methodology, is this notion of an identity fabric. Continuous, I think I've made this point throughout. The urgency of things is it's got to be continuously met. Governance standards have to be continuously met. You need to have real-time control monitoring detection of vulnerabilities like shadow accounts, local accounts that are bypassing strong authentication, misconfigurations, etc. But in order to allow the business to do more for themselves, you have to give the business the context that they need. So you need to annotate the information that you can discover from the environments. Either that can be generated through machine generative AI capabilities, or a human being needs to augment that, describing how the permissions relate to business activities and how those business activities relate to whether they're sensitive, whether they're compliance concerns, whether they're toxic combinations. All of this needs to be done in order to help the business understand when a breach occurs, what's the impacts, but it also helps in terms of making decisions. And then again, from a decision perspective, in particular using machine learning and AI to help reduce the number of decisions that need to be made, and for those decisions that are unavoidable, prioritizing and empowering decision makers to make those decisions. Then on the taking action side, we are looking at and doing more about helping integrations through, again, machine learning to generate integrations automatically, to generate code based upon API specifications of the targets that you're looking at. And on the enforcement side, there's a lot that we do in terms of providing strong authentication mechanisms, the adaptive access that I talked about, integrating with threat detection and response. We have security at API layers. And as I say, AI, machine learning, generative AI as a subset of all that is across all of these areas to improve and simplify this for the business. Now with that, I'm going to let Dinesh tell you where we've been heading with this. I saw a prompt. Was there a question, Dinesh? Did you see?
I don't see any questions. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Take it away, Dinesh.
Well, now as you heard, as Corey explained about, some of the key pain points across customers, and then why does IGA needs to evolve, and what are some of the key considerations that you should look after from a next gen IGA technology perspective. Corey also briefly talked about the methodology that can be applied. With that notion, what we looked at as part of our IBM Verify portfolio, we had an exciting release of IBM Verify Identity Governance that offers some of the next gen IGA features that has been delivered into this technology. So it's a version 11, which is available now, and it significantly, delivers some of the next gen features that are valuable if you really look at from a customer pain points that we look at across worldwide customers that we work with or the new prospects and struggling to get their IGA technology value from lowering the total cost of ownership as well as increasing the overall return over investment to their IGA solution. So here are some of the key use cases, what I would like you to understand, and we will also then look at live demonstration of some of those key capabilities as well. So with version 11 release, we delivered the cutting edge technology that offers the container deployments that significantly reduces overall total cost of ownership from high maintenance and management to a significant lower the cost. The technology offers compliance with Red Hat OpenShift and Kubernetes-based cloud-native platforms like AWS, Azure, or GCP or IBM Cloud. Customers can take advantage of deploying this highly scalable technology on a cloud-native platform or on-premise data structures as data centers as well. The technology also offers the modern user experiences, not only for the business users, but also for the administrative users, and really helps them to focus on the day-to-day tasks that they need to perform easily. It's a unified platform that offers some of the advanced governance features like advanced certification campaigns that helps you to periodically review user entitlements and mitigate the access risk as well. One of the differentiating features we look at are also around risk insights and operational visibility, wherein with the help of identity analytics dashboard, we provide 360-degree view of identity related risks in terms of the user entitlements. At the same time, administrators are concerned about the operational aspects of their IGA solution, and a next-gen IGA solution should look at how those can be addressed in terms of the operational visibility dashboard to track ongoing or the past IGA events, activities, successful or failed IGA operations. Role lifecycle foundation is one of the most critical things from an RBAC and ABAC modeling perspective, and now it provides the visibility into the fine-grained entitlements, additionally also providing low-code, no-code while administrators or role RBAC teams are composing the roles for their organization. One of the innovative technology we really look at is the business-centric approach of separation of duty policies modeling, wherein it's a business activities that really represents a comprehensive SOD construct, but applying the low level permissions or the fine grained entitlements as part of that business centric logic to apply the SOD constructs. We also look at some of the additional use cases, more advanced around role mining, how the enhanced role optimization capabilities that can be paired with identity governance solution, as well as your external roles that performs role mining capabilities as well. So I've listed some of the key capabilities that this release delivered, as how we are moving or offering some of the next gen IGA features to our customers from this new release perspective. I'm going to share my screen again now to take you through some of the demonstration of these capabilities from a live environment as well. As Corey mentioned, identity security posture is one of the key aspects from a modern IGA solution perspective that offers the next generation use case. So our IGA technology offers strong authentication in terms of making sure administrators or end users can securely get into the IGA solution. But at the same time, they can also leverage some of the modern authentication capabilities like passkey or QR code, completely go passwordless while they are accessing the business user interfaces or they're accessing the administrative interfaces. At the same time, customers can also choose to use regular user ID and the password approach to start with, and then further move towards a modern authentication platform as well. With this demonstration, I'm just logging as an administrative persona, and the administrative persona gets some applications of the choice that they have been entitled to, and they can seamlessly access further with a single sign-on and MFA capabilities enabled for their applications accesses. Now I'm going to launch the administrative console experience of our Verify identity governance technology that offers some of the next gen IGA features. Now, as you get into the identity governance solution, this is really the quick view of the operational visibility aspects. That's what the operational visibility dashboard provides, helps IAM administrators to keep track of what's going on into the IGA solution, what applications that I'm managing, if there are any disconnected or the failed applications that I should be worried about, how many users that are onboarded as of today, if there are any inactive users, how many number of accounts and as per their compliance status, and a bit of view of the user entitlement risk patterns that I should be quickly aware of as well. The further charts also highlight some of the trends or some of the ongoing activities, like for example, provisioning request. You see here, there is no provisioning request as for, from a processing perspective in the queue, but there are a number of reconciliation operations happening. Some of them are pending, some of them are failed and successful. Similarly, the certification campaign request also shows a good view of what's going on from a certification campaign activity perspective, as well as the access request patterns as well. Now, all these events are actually gathered from a live IGA system that we have, which is inbuilt operational visibility dashboard that it shows. At the same time, it can also further go beyond that in terms of how is the provisioning queue looks like. What are the top 10 applications with the provisioning request that are hitting the IGA solution that I should be worried about if there are any failures, and how are the overall reconciliation or account synchronization job trends are going on, and a slice and dice by applications with their account sync queues, how they're performing as well. Now, the whole intention of the operational visibility dashboard, as I said, is letting administrator to take care about the most critical things from an IG solution that they should be worried about as an organization. At the same time, the risk-based dashboard also helps administrators, business users to understand the user entitlement related risks. That's the identity analytics piece, what I just mentioned before, wherein the governance risk dashboard shows a holistic 360-degree view of all the violations, risky users, entitlements, what are the risky applications, and some of the top recommendations that administrators should follow given the number of risks that are detected into the system. Now, with the identity analytics, we provide out of the box risk policies that really examines users and their entitlement patterns, applies AI ML technology on top of it, and provides a holistic view of the violations that are detected while you are managing users and applications within your IGA solution. Even the policies and the risk scores and the violations are pretty much configurable and customizable as per the organization need, so that every organization can decide what really matters to them from an identity security posture management perspective, and take a look of some of the IGA use cases that are applicable and meaningful for their business adoption. As you are going to manage the user insights, application risks as well, you could also get an opportunity to really deal with very specific incidents or security insights that are captured and further perform some remediations action on it as well. With this dashboard, I just navigated to the accounts that are orphan, and it's one of the biggest security concern from a security posture management perspective. An administrator can go a little bit deeper into those accounts, look at them, act on them. Some might be suspend or delete those accounts based upon the business policies that organization has. And further, this is how the organizations can detect the risks as well as start remediating and make their IAM solution environment much more cleaner and safe from such identity related risk insights. You would also see some additional risk policies such as separation of duty. As I mentioned, we provide the business activity view of the separation of duty for defining the separation of duty constructs. But the dashboard also shows you a holistic view of if there are any SOD violations, if there are any sensitive accesses, and a number of policies that results to better manage the identity and user entitlement related risk as well. Now, I talked about operational visibility dashboard, identity analytics with the governance risk dashboard. These are the next gen IGA use cases we look at customers are adopting rather than traditionally following the IGA use cases. This really helps administrators of the organization to pay attention to the risk oriented approach and make sure the IAM solution is effectively governing the identities and the accesses that users should have. Besides the operational visibility dashboard and identity analytics, let me also take you through our innovative model of business activity-based risk modeling, wherein one can define the business activities and then the business activities are part of the risk definitions that you map to. A business activity can be a combination of a number of fine-grained entitlements on the targets or the applications that you're managing. And the risk is really what you define, whether it's a separation of duty risk or a sensitive access risk, and it can contribute a number of business activities as part of the definition. So as an example, I have here a separation of duty risk identified for any user who has an HR database access and a DevOps system access. As per the organization's policy, it's a conflict of accesses that a single user should not have these two different types of systems as an access. And this is achieved in the sense of applying the business activities to it. The business activities really depicts what is an HR application access and the DevOps infrastructure accesses, and it is actually mapped to the fine-grained permissions as part of these business activities. Once you define the separation of duty control, it also helps to define you the mitigation control. In certain situations, it might be acceptable or in an emergency situation, you want to apply that risk and still allow user to perform certain tasks, maybe as per the policy or maybe as per the emergency reasons. But mitigation controls really help you to detect the violations, but also apply mitigation controls as part of those violation remediations as well. The view also shows you which users are really part of the SOD conflict violation that is defined as per the policy, and you can further apply remediation controls or mitigation controls as part of these user detecting SOD violations as well. So there are a number of such features, as I mentioned earlier, about what we have offered as part of our latest release of Verify Identity Governance that really helps you to move towards or adopt a next generation of IGA technology. With this, I'm going to share my screen again and move to the slides. So that's a quick demonstration of Verify Identity Governance, the latest features, and some of the next gen features that we have delivered from our Verify Identity Governance solution. Now with this, there is a path for our customers to get to the next generation of identity and governance. With the vision that we have is about governing all human and non-human identities with a unified identity fabric approach using AI and Gen AI that really helps in providing complete visibility into entitlements and assists in reducing, prioritizing, and empowering further human decision-making processes. With this, IBM Verify portfolio continues to deliver some of the next generation of IGA technology capabilities. We have some of the exciting upcoming use cases that we are working on, such as smart certification campaign, Gen AI and other ML for administrator and business user assistance, as well as access policy optimizations. We are also exploring the areas around better together stories of how identity governance and identity protection can, apply the real value of identity security posture management. And there is a call for action for everyone. You know, Evaluate your current IGA practices, your current IGA solution that you're using today, and also explore how IBM Verify portfolio can help you to get on the path of the next generation IGA solution. With this, that's it from the session perspective. I'll be open for any questions or comments. Peggy, if there are any questions that we can help in answering.
Oh, someone said
Yeah, thanks, Dinesh. That was great. So much great information, and I feel better because I know that there's, always security breaches happening, and I love to see all these new methods being put into place to keep us all secure. I don't see any messages in the chat right now. So this is, if you want to ask any questions, please go ahead and drop them in chat and we can ask them. Or if you think of anything after this session and you decide you would like to ask some questions, you can always join us for the office hours at the end of the day. So that will be 2:30 to 3 Eastern time for the infrastructure, automation, and security track, or join one of our communities. There's a community for Verify, so make sure you join that if you have any questions. And I see someone just put in the chat that they do have a question. So let's just give it a second here and we'll address that. Okay, the question is RBAC available in version 10 as well?
Yep, great question. I think RBAC, just for everyone's awareness, role-based access control. Yes, it is available even from a foundational capability that we have evolved. Fundamentally, with version 11, what we have evolved is the existing RBAC model that really helps you to map fine-grained entitlements as part of your RBAC composition. So as you are composing the role with V11 release, now you can associate fine-grained entitlements as part of your role composition. So that's a great enhancement or a great addition into our existing RBAC model introduced in V11. A second thing, you would also find some of the low code, no code approach while defining the dynamic roles that you typically used to do earlier releases. With the low code, no code, you can really help with drag and drop of or selection of particular set of attributes while composing the dynamic roles. Additionally, we also continue to provide advanced scripting policy to define your dynamic roles, but low code, no code approach really simplifies to focus on what attributes you want to map as part of your dynamic role composition. So those are like a couple of big announcements that has been made as part of our RBAC model that has been there foundational traditionally with our product, but specifically these are some of the new features introduced with the V11 release. That's a great question.
Okay, thank you, Dinesh. I don't see any other questions coming in. but I appreciate everybody attending. Keep in mind, all of the sessions are available on demand by the end of the day that the sessions were presented. So you can refer back to this. You can listen again or listen to other sessions, as well as the charts are available on our At a Glance agenda site. So they're being added as the days go on. And I appreciate everyone being here. We want to hear your feedback. We want to continue to make TechCon better each year. So there will be a survey coming up. It'll be in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Make sure you take that before you exit this session. And we have 3 more great sessions coming up in this track. We have 2 on HashiCorp, so lots of brand new information there. And then we also have one on AI ops and security at the end of the day. So make sure you get time to take a break, get a coffee, and join us next. 11:05 is the next session. Thank you.
Thanks, Peg.